tonight with my main man Paul Myers and Marc Johnson at NBAFCPRadio.com. We want to say thank you to our good friend Kurt Helin from Pro Basketball Talk on NBCSports.com. Please follow him at Pro Basketball Talk on Twitter. Very informative. Like I said, he had that article today on LeBron James. If you want to know more about that, please go check him out. We also want you to call in and talk to myself, Marc, and Paul, 407-482-3776. Yes, I did say a different phone number last week, but that was for the establishment, Denny's on OBT. So if you're listening out there, Denny's, I'm sorry for the extra phone calls last week. So
you're welcome, one or the other. I mean,
they might pick up some extra business.
Yeah.
But, guys, let's get back into the NBA. And Kurt made a good point about earlier, before we went to break, about LeBron James and potentially taking player control. But he mentioned a guy in New Orleans by the name of Anthony Davis. And the Pelicans are a team right now that I thought was going to be that team to make the breakthrough this year. But the only thing that broke was the players' bones, legs, arms, everything else all season on that roster. Marc, I'm going to start with you on this one. Is it time for Anthony Davis to put his foot down with the organization and and tell them to basically start forcing changes in New Orleans?
I mean, it's good for him to put his foot down, but I don't want him personally making the changes. And that's for no NBA player, to be honest with you. I like, a lot of the guys, that I've met, talked to, you could tell that they know the game, but they don't study the game enough to actually know what personnel will work and what personnel doesn't work. You have to get a good GM in there, some good scouts in there who understand how to put a team together and how this thing works.
Talent evaluators.
And if the coach isn't running, the right plays, the right system, then you can also go to management about that too. I think the players kind of need to stay out of that a little bit, because they're just not, well seasoned to be able to do it as a full-time job. I appreciate what LeBron is doing, but leave it to the guys who actually have done the job and have done the job for years.
Well, that's a good point on that one. But, Paul, here's the thing. Now, Marc says that AD should not go in here and start demanding player X and player Y for various reasons that Marc pretty much broke down. But if you are the Pelicans right now, is it time in the offseason to re-sign a guy like Ryan Anderson or just let him walk and find trade partners for Drew Holiday, Eric Gordon and those guys? Is it time to find trade partners and start blowing this thing up? Or do you think you try to give it one more year with Tyreke Evans this career? Hopefully they stay healthy.
Well, I think that's where your issue is. What is their value right now? Nobody wants a banged-up player. I think where their issue, you look at their roster, Luke Babbitt, should he really be in the NBA? I don't think so. Omer Asik, he should be buried on somebody's bench if in the NBA. Tony Douglas has been in and out of the NBA. I mean, we know why. Alonzo G, same thing there. Pondexter's not very talented. Cunningham's kind of a do-it-all guy. Bryce DeJean-Jones, Alex Aginta, I tell you, I'm just not – top to bottom, this is kind of a weak roster. Where they're heavy, their starting five is solid when they're healthy. You got – Drew Holiday is a starting caliber point guard. Eric Gordon, when healthy, is a good player. Tyreke Evans, same. Ryan Anderson and AD. You have right there is a strong five.
Mm-hmm. But the problem is
they have no depth. Norris Cole is probably their best bench player, I'd say,
mm-hmm.
and he's good. I keep Norris Cole. He's played a good role for them this year. But just everything else is just kind of questionable. So, for me, I'd be looking to clean house, honestly. Even if that means I have to give up Evans, I have to give up Gordon, Holiday. Almost anybody. I'd say everybody on the roster is touchable except Anthony Davis. But again, what is their value? These guys have been hurt all year. The only guy that has value on their roster besides AD is Ryan Anderson.
And Ryan Anderson's a free agent.
And so he really has no value besides a sign and trade.
Well, Paul, Paul's not big on Quincy Pondexter. I actually am. Pondexter's been out the entire season with an injury. So, but remember, last year in New Orleans, he was averaging 10 points a game after the trade from Memphis.
So impressive.
Hey, he was the starting small forward until, like I said, he got hurt and Dante Cunningham had to be pretty much thrown in his role.
Yeah. Wish I can get 10 points a game on 30 minutes.
A lot of these guys kind of fit under the old coach and not Gentry.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. When you get a new coach, right, I think you should clean house anyway because a lot of these guys don't fit. They're defensive players.
Right.
That's the reason why Asik looks terrible on this team because he's a defensive player. He was playing for a defensive coach. Now you have an offensive coach that has no use for him, so he looks bad. And a lot of these guys on the bench look bad because they're not, they're not comfortable playing in this system, with this coach and the changes that he's made. And that's pretty much the reason. If you get a new coach, you're supposed to turn over the roster.
Well, here's a question. I mean, you'll turn Anthony Davis, but here's a question. Tyreek Evans is the guy, for me, at the center of everything right now. And what I say by that is we know that Drew Holiday has been, injuries left and right. Eric Gordon is not going to be back because I think he's a free agent this summer. Mm-hmm. Ryan Anderson, I think the price tag, I don't think New Orleans is going to match that price tag, knowing that him and Davis cannot play together.
But they can.
But they don't want Davis as a center,
which is insane to me.
I mean,
do you look at the way the NBA is trending? Why in the world would you not want Anthony Davis at center?
The reason why Kevin Garnett never wanted to play center.
No, it's not the same.
Mark?
NBA is different now.
But
these
guys
can actually play center now.
But the thing is, they don't want the wear and tear in Davis of guarding fives.
Guarding what fives?
Look, I mean, there's about maybe
Enes Kanter,
Marc Gasol,
Steven Adams. Marc Gasol is the exception.
I mean, I'm just
Andrew Bogut. You're going to get a lot of bangs from Andrew Bogut because he touches the ball a lot, right?
DeAndre Jordan.
Give me a break, man. Listen, okay, so you keep a guy like Ashik on the roster for those guys, but
it's 4 and 5 when he's in the game.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, Davis, he is a center in today's NBA.
Of course he is. He should,
and he's a mismatch at that.
Of course,
you put a guy like Draymond on him, he should abuse him in the post. You put a guy like Bogut on him, he should abuse him on the wing.
I mean, of course. I mean, that's what we think in a natural situation, but I guess the wear and tear situation that is. But the question is that what do you do with Tyreek Evans? Do you trade him or do you keep him? Because before Evans got hurt, he was basically 16 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists a game.
Right, playing really well.
And yes, and the thing is, he likes actually being that sixth man. He relished the role of being a sixth man. Was only a starter because Eric Gordon and Drew Holiday are made out of like linking logs. Like you blow them over, and it's like they're done for 6 or 7 games at a time.
They didn't eat vitamins as kids or something. Like, no Flintstones for them.
Exactly, no Flintstones for them. That's new hashtag of the night. But Mark, here's the question: you're from Philly. Tyreek's from your neck of the woods. Is it time for the Pelicans to move on from Tyreek Evans, or do you keep him in a rebuilding effort with Anthony Davis?
I'm like, to me, I would say blow it up. You're not doing good, with these guys. You got to get different guys in there. But he played well under Gentry. So I'm like, he does have some value there. But if he has enough value on the open market where you can get, like, man, I like this guy. He's on somebody's bench. I like this guy. And they have a couple of draft picks, along with it, then, yeah, trade him if you get the right deal.
Now, we talk about right deals and right places and guys in right situations. We talked about LeBron James in Cleveland a few minutes ago. We're going to go into further detail after Mark Johnson's draft segment at the top of the hour. But here's a question. There's 3 guys, I think, this summer that could be moved. Which one of these 3 guys has the highest value trade-wise? I'm looking at Kevin Love in Cleveland, Blake Griffin in Los Angeles, or DeMarcus Cousins in Sacramento, because I think all 3 will probably get moved this summer. And I think the Kings will move Cousins.
I don't think they will, but if you're going to ask me who has the highest value, it's Cousins. And close behind that is Griffin. And then with a little bit of distance is Love.
Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I happen to agree. I think Cousins has the highest value. The other 2 guys, I think, they're right there with each other. At least with Love, you can run some type of offense. With Griffin, offensively, he doesn't really do much. He has that outside shot that he developed, and he can definitely score from running the floor, but it's not like, you run plays for this guy and expect him to do something. So with Griffin, I think you'll have to tailor maybe a system around him. The other 2 guys, offensively, like, listen, if you're going to run some traditional offense, those guys are going to be locked and loaded, ready to go. Griffin, more of a hybrid. I would suggest that you run more, if you want to acquire him.
Up tempo, yeah.
Well, see, my thing with Blake Griffin is that I think Griffin's his perimeter game is way underrated. Yeah. I mean, I think he's very good in the pick and pop situation.
That's why I would have Griffin above Love a little bit.
I mean, but the thing is, I think people know Kevin Love's long range shooting ability, but Blake Griffin has actually been better on the 18, 19-foot jumpers than people realize. The question with Cousins for me, I know that Cousins is one of the top 7 or 8 players in the league. The question for me is that if he gets around the right talent, will he be able to keep it together?
Well, that's the issue with Cousins, isn't it? I mean, that's been the question for him since he came out of college. Can he keep it together between the ears?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the talent's there. The kid he can score. One of the better passing big men. Rebounding's not an issue. He gets his block shots. He gets his steals. It doesn't make him a good defender per se, but he's not a bad defender either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, Cousins is one of the most talented players in the league. He's top 5 talent-wise.
Of course.
Now, he's not a top 5 player because he can't quite put it together. But talent, he's top 5. So if I'm a coach, like, for example, Doc Rivers should be like, hey, let's give up Griffin for him or whatever. You know, anything you can. A guy like Rivers could get a hold of him and could get him playing well.
Okay.
And keep him together. There's not a whole lot of guys that could.
Well, do the Cousins almost 4 turnovers a game scare you as a big guy? Turn the ball over that much?
Yeah, you want to bring that down. And partially that's because he's trying to do too much.
So that's what I worry about.
Well, if you get the right coach, he's not going to.
Yeah, exactly.
But, Mark, if you're the right coach and you got DeMarcus Cousins on your block.
Another one is Brad Stevens.
But, okay, if you're the right coach, I'm going to say we're all coaches here real quickly. If you have DeMarcus Cousins, Mark, in my case, I'm feeding him the ball every single possession to start the ball and putting the ball in his hands. Do you think that a coach that knows that he has a talent like DeMarcus Cousins is going to force feed him more than he's getting force fed now because of who's better than him on the block right now?
No, it's nobody. What you do with Cousins is that when you have a player like that, you want to build around him. You know, I'm more traditional. Like, look, you have a big man with that level of talent, you build around him. You don't build around the point guard or the small forward. You have a real center, you build around that real center. You know, have a shot blocking, forward at the 4 who can actually hit some perimeter shots, a defensive 3, a 2 guard, who can shoot, point guard who can run the show. You build a traditional team around Cousins with a coach who's a leader of men. You put that team together, Cousins will be on a roll.
I agree. Yeah, a lot of it has to do with the system and the coaching. And if you can get the right players around Cousins, that guy will carry you to a championship. He's that talented.
Really?
But he's that talented. Now, the issue comes in, can you build a team around him? Because first you'd have to trade for him, which means you're giving up a lot in general.
You're giving up your team for him.
Right. So now you have to build a team around this guy after giving everything up for him. And you have to have the right coach. So it's a very tricky situation. But if you can pull it off, this guy he'll get you to the finals for sure. Now, will he win it? I don't. That's always a coin flip. But he's talented enough to carry a team to the finals.
See, for me, I don't know if he's that franchise-changing player.
Oh, you're tripping.
I know he's superly talented, but I guess because of the fact that I've never seen him on a team that's actually won anything. It's kind of the Kevin Love theory. Kevin Love was an outstanding player in Minnesota. He put up these insane numbers.
Right.
But he never, ever played a playoff series until he got traded to Cleveland. I just wonder if he goes to a different team with better players around him, better coaches around him, can he elevate that team to that next level? Because there's only few guys in the NBA right now, and I can probably count them on my hand, that have that ability to lift a team out of purgatory into that next level, or that team that's right there on the cusp.
And that's why he's not a top 5 player right now. And that's what I'm saying. Again, he has to put it together first between the ears. Mentally, he needs to put it together first. If you get a focused Boogie Cousins with that talent, there's no question he can carry a team.
We're going to get more into that, but we're going to take a break here on Full Court Press Radio here on Sports Talk 1080 Team. Everybody, grab your pens, grab your paper. Marc Johnson is about to drop knowledge on college basketball because it's tournament time.
Oh, yeah.
Conference tournament time. I mean, like Marc said earlier, college basketball on a Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
Marc's going to set you up for all your conference tournaments. We'll be right back in about 2 minutes here on Full Court Press Radio here on Sports Talk 1080 Team. Let's take a break and pay some bills.
Shirts Just For You is a unique custom graphic apparel store. Our motto is made for you, inspired by you. We offer a variety of designs ready for purchase, or you can create your own at no additional cost. With spring just around the corner, they would like to get you prepared, whether just for yourself or for your big event, like a family reunion, bachelor or bachelorette party, or even a work function. When you buy